I'm Kat and Eva, and you're watching Generation Now. Season 2 of Into the Badlands premiered on March 19th with even more action and intense storylines. It features, or it's one of the few shows on TV that features two lead Asian actors. I love the show. You guys definitely have to watch it. Joining us today are the two stars of the show, MK, or Aramis Knight, who plays MK, and Daniel Wu, who stars as Sunny and is also the executive producer of Into the Badlands. Thank you guys so much for being here
Thanks
today.
for having us.
As I mentioned, I saw the first episode of season 2 and I was blown away. As always, the first 5 minutes, that action scene.
Yep.
It's intense. How did you do that? I mean, with the props and everything, it almost reminded me of a little bit of Jackie Chan.
Yeah, we're definitely going for that feel. It was interesting because when we got the original script, it says that Sunny gets out of that yoke, the wooden yoke thing, and then starts the fight. But when the fight team started looking at the scene, they're like, you know, it might be interesting if we just kept in there and fought with that thing on. And I think that adds the sort of Jackie Chan element to it because you're adding props to the fight.
Right.
And so then he's fighting through adversity with this wooden stock on his neck and hands. And so that kind of creates a different situation for Sunny because Sunny, Season 1, every fight except for the Abbott fight at the end was easy, pretty much easy for him. So this season, he's fighting through a lot more adversity. He's trying to get back to his family. He's also weakened because he's been a slave for 6 months, you know.
Right.
And so he starts off at a much lower place than he was the season before, and he's got to fight his way out of that, you know.
He's got no weapons anymore.
Nope.
Yeah, no weapons.
No weapons.
Speaking of fighting, Aramis, I heard that you knew no martial arts when you started this show, which was shocking to me. But how has the training been for season 2?
Oh, I mean, it's been good. I spent a lot of time in between season 1 and season 2 training.
Right.
I was already actually pretty decent coming in. I was already pretty used to running and jumping because I have a big basketball background.
He's very athletic.
Yeah,
that helps a lot in terms of the training.
Yeah.
For sure, but I lacked flexibility a lot. That was one thing that I was really bad on, and it would always hold me back a lot. I would either get injured or I wouldn't be able to do the things that they wanted me to do. But he forced me to stretch every day. And then,
I send him texts, are you stretching?
I'm surprised you're not there with a whip.
I send him pictures in restaurants of my foot like up on a rail.
Here's the thing is like in training camp, you can only control so much. And then when he's off doing his own thing. So I'm going to make sure that when he's not working with us, that he's working on his skills.
Yeah, but it's funny. I became such a better basketball player after training.
Yeah, sure.
I'm so much faster now. I'm just more range of motion on my body. So even just, you know, going up to lay the ball up, I'm able to contort my body in a lot more ways. So.
Yeah, now Daniel was talking about how his character is a lot different in this season because not weaker, but less confident, I felt.
Sure.
But with you, I feel like you grew a lot more, not just physically, but you're fighting your inner conflict and everything. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I think psychologically MK is maybe in a better place because he's being fed properly and he's, you know, although he's in a place where maybe he doesn't have, you know, all the say in the world or all the freedom that he wants, at least he's, you know, being developed. And he quickly becomes friends with his abbot, who's named Ava, and they develop a really interesting relationship. So I'm excited for everyone to kind of see that develop, and everyone will probably eat their hearts out that me and Tilda aren't together.
Well, at all? Or can you give us a...
I'm not saying anything.
Oh, man.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about this season is the characters are all split apart.
Yeah.
You know, last season we were all grouped together in the Badlands, and now there's characters outside the Badlands, the characters inside the Badlands, and what you'll feel over the season is that eventually we'll all meet up, right? Once we find each other.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of momentum of the show for the season.
Now, Daniel, you have I don't know if you'd call him a sidekick, but it's a little more comedic
Partner.
this time. Partner. He's
Partner in crime.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Talk about working with him.
Nick Frost,
Nick
amazing,
Frost.
amazing. You know, everyone must know him from the Cornetto trilogies. You know, Paul, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, all those movies. He's great.
Yeah.
And he was a great addition to the cast because he adds a bit of levity to the show. I think last season we were a very serious and dark show.
So intense.
But you need to have moments of lightness in the show, and I think Nick brings that, of course. And his style of comedy, I love his style of comedy.
It's still so grounded.
Yeah, it's grounded, but it's these little witty remarks that he throws in here and there, and it actually helps Sunny's character as well because Sunny's not the most vocal of people, and he doesn't necessarily like to share what he's thinking with people, but kind of Baji, that character, forces it out of him. And so therefore, as an audience member, you get to see how Sunny is thinking more clearly now.
Right, definitely. Now, what are some of the challenges this time around in season 2? Or can you talk about filming?
Well, I guess weather in Ireland, because we had extreme weather in New Orleans for first season, but that was sweating and all that, so that was good for our muscles. Whereas in the cold, we needed to focus a lot more on conditioning and
making
stretching.
sure we're warmed up all the time and all that.
Because your muscles constrict and you can get injured and be out for weeks at a time. So it was really important.
But that said, I'd prefer to be in Ireland than
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Well, no, simply because New Orleans was like 100 degrees and 90% humidity, and you're wearing a leather trench coat.
And you're trying to fight,
and you're trying to fight in that.
Yeah.
It was really tough. It was really tough. I mean, it was physically exhausting.
You had a hard time keeping weight on.
Oh, I wish I had that.
Well, I put on like an extra 15 pounds of muscle, and it was really hard to keep it on in that heat.
You're sweating so
so
much constantly.
But this season, in Ireland, it was much more comfortable. I think the challenge is this season is it's a much more longer season. It's 10 episodes. So how do you keep the fights interesting, exciting, and different every time? And so therefore, you saw the first fight. There's already a difference in the fighting that we did last season.
Exactly.
And that's the challenge, is keeping it fresh, keeping it new, even though we're fighting like 2 or 3 fights every episode, because it's very easy to fall into a pattern or a trend, and then it becomes repetitive, and we don't want to do that with the show. We want it to be constantly fresh and constantly like shocking the audience with the stuff that we do on the screen.
Speaking of shocking the audience, you definitely did that in the first episode. I mean, that ending, I don't know if I can say, but
the twist at the end.
The twist to the end, I was like, what? How many more of those, or is that gonna happen at every season?
I think there's going to be twists and turns throughout. I think we needed a good kickoff for the first season, so that's definitely a big shocker.
Oh yeah.
Right? But it's also the catalyst and the drive for the whole season, because once Sunny realizes that this guy has his girl and his baby, he's mad. He wants to get him back, right?
And all of a sudden, you want to go back to the Badlands.
Yes, I mean, all last season we were figuring out trying how to escape.
Right.
Then we get out. Now that my girl's still in there, I got to go back in there and get her. And so that becomes the sort of focus of Sunny all season long.
At the same time, trying to find each other too, because we know that we both play pivotal parts in being able to actually escape.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if we want to go to Azra and find that place, we need each other to be able to do that.
And I remember watching a video where the main goal for season 1 was to put martial arts in American television. What's the goal this season, or is there one?
Well, I think it's still the same, is to keep that dynamic level of action up, the Hong Kong style of action on American television, but also just to make a great show. It is a martial arts drama, but you can't just have great action scenes and not good drama. The storytelling has to be has to pull the audience is in. The character development has to be enough to bring a core audience that's not there just for the martial arts. Of course, we love that audience as well, but we want to be able to pull in this guy's mom and this guy's uncle, all these people to watch the show. We want this to be universally a good show, not just a good martial arts show.
I think it's a great show. I love it. I can't wait to see more. Thank you guys so much for being here today.
Of course, thanks for having us.
Don't miss Into the Badlands. It airs Sundays on AMC. For Generation Now, I'm Kat Aniba.